What is happening, my YouTube people? Steve again with Raiken Profit over at RaikenProfit.com, coming back to you with another video. And in today's video, I want to answer a viewer question that I had received recently on my YouTube page. And the question was, Steve, what brand of clothing, if there is a brand, do you get returns on most? Is there one brand that just always seems to get returned and, always seems to be coming back to you? And first and foremost, just want to thank you for the question. I appreciate that. And to answer the question, yes, there is one brand that I've gotten returns on several times, and it seems like this brand it loves getting shipped back to me. So with that knowledge, I've really been really careful when dealing with this brand. And the brand is Brooks Brothers. I'm not going to lie, over the last year, I've probably had maybe 10 returns with this brand. And the number one reason why I believe that there's so many returns with this brand is because most people that are buying these shirts, and most of the ones that I'm selling are like dress shirts, the reason is most people that are buying these shirts are wearing them for like a professional occasion, or maybe like something that's more formal, maybe for work. And if there's any issues with it at all, anything that really alters the quality of it, they're going to ship it back. So let me talk about a few things to really be on the lookout for when dealing with Brooks Brothers. And I've made a video like this in the past, but again, I got a question on my YouTube, so just want to answer it for this fellow. And the number one thing that I see wrong with these Brooks Brothers shirts is the collar area, the collar and the cuffs. It always seems like there's fraying or there's some rips and tears. You really got to be careful. So when you pick up the shirt, actually bring it right up to your eyes and look all around the collar. Take the sleeves and take a look at the ends of the cuffs and make sure that there's no ripping or fraying or anything of that nature, because it just seems like it's so common. I'm not sure if it's the material they use, if it's a certain type of cotton, or if a lot of people are just, putting them, like washing them the wrong way or something. I'm not sure, but there's always seems to be issues with the collar and the cuffs. So really look at that. The next issue I find with these shirts are, and I'm not sure why it is always the Brooks Brothers, but I always find missing buttons. And most of the time, it could even be a cracked button, but most of the time it has to do with the Oxford collar, if it has one. And if you're not sure what the Oxford collar is, it's the collar area. It's the button that actually fastens it down, the little tiny button. So make sure to take a look at those quick. Make sure they're present and they weren't just like ripped off. I found several occasions where they just tore them off. I'm not sure if they fell off on their own or they wanted to turn the Oxford collar into a spread collar, but check the Oxford buttons, because they'll either be chipped or they'll be missing completely. And also check the actual front of the shirt with the buttons that are running up from the top to the bottom. Make sure they're all present, because a lot of times you might have one that's missing. So, if a buyer ends up getting a missing button or something like that, some will be cool, but most of the people, they'll just return it back because they want to throw it on for work. They want to throw it on for that formal occasion and just be, done with it. They don't want to bring it to the shop or whatever. So keep your eye out for the collar, the cuffs, the missing button. Another big thing that I found with these Brooks Brothers shirts, especially the ones that are lighter color, like the white ones, you really got to be careful, because stains. There always seems to be a stain on these shirts, and maybe it's just the location I'm living in. Maybe where you're living, people are more clean and neat, but I find stains all the time, and they're in the weirdest places. I'll see them on the collar, and that could just be from like sweat. Also in the armpit area, look for stains from sweat. Obviously the front, for anything that has to do with liquids or food. People, they're eating lunch, they drop a little piece of something and it stains and it never comes out. Coffee stains on the front, I see those very often. So especially with the lighter colors, make sure that there's no stains. And even with the darker colors, like I said, people, they don't want to mess with flaws with this brand for some reason. I don't know if it's the person or whatnot, but check the stains, because there always seems to be one hidden somewhere. Another thing to be on the lookout for, to avoid getting returns, which I've got a lot on, like I've said many times, is make sure you take really good measurements with, especially with this brand. Take your pit to pit, take your length, take your sleeves. If you want to go the extra mile, you could do the shoulders, because if the person gets it and it doesn't fit them, they're going to return it back immediately. And I'm sure all you folks are already taking measurements. I've talked about that several times. And last but not least, if it has any weird smells or odors, or if it's dirty, wash it. I'm telling you right now, especially with the brand Brooks Brothers, wash your stuff. And I've made videos in the past where I've said, I don't wash everything just because it would be too time consuming, and that's true, I don't. But when it comes to certain things, especially really nice dress shirts, if like I always said, I put myself in the buyer's shoes. If I'd be upset receiving it, if it's something that I'd be, pissed off about when I got it, I'm going to wash it and I'm going to do what it takes, to make things right. So that's really where you guys should be coming from. Always come from the buyer's shoes. Always imagine what it would be like if you went to your mailbox and you pulled out the poly bag or the flat rate box, however you send out your items, and you opened it up and you're all excited to wear it, and maybe you see, a messed up collar or a cuff or a missing button, stains, or has a weird smell, or you go to put it on, it doesn't fit right. I mean, you're going to be upset. You could have been waiting, if it was coming from the East Coast or the West Coast, you could have been waiting 4 or 5, 6 days to get it. Maybe you have time restrictions. Maybe you need it for that work event. Maybe you need it for that dinner party. Who knows? Maybe you need it for a funeral, if that, unfortunately, if that ever happens. I mean, so think from the buyer's standpoint, and try to avoid any of these flaws, especially with the brand Brooks Brothers. You should always be looking out for this type of stuff with all items. It could be jackets, it could be pants, it could be scarves, it could be whatever you're buying and selling, but especially with Brooks Brothers. I can't emphasize it enough because I keep getting returns with this item because sometimes I get lazy, or I don't check, the cuffs, or I don't make sure to check all the buttons, and it always bites me into you-know-what. So hopefully this video helped. Hopefully this answered your question. And yeah, hopefully everyone's having a great day. Hopefully business is booming. So keep on picking and making that money. And I will see you guys soon. Take care. Bye.